Okay, let's talk about techniques on how to approach something that you have reference for. So you're not just drawing straight out of your head or something that you're looking at and you're either using it as a rough base for something, like in the image I have here. So it's not really meant to really have the pure photoreal perfect copying version of it, but basically the essence is there, how you would attack that. Um, I, in starting this this tutorial, I struggled slightly with, it's been a long time since I started drawing. So really, what are the best techniques? And I really kind of went around and asked my friends who were professional artists and getting their 2 cents on things. And one of the things we discussed was, and it's kind of poo-pooed sometimes by, I think artists who really don't know what they're talking about. Um, not a bad way to start is tracing. So I'm going to give you actually several blue line images that you guys will be able to print out and then with your pencil or pen go over and trace and see the tracings very well. Digitally, it's done as simple as making another layer in whatever drawing program you want to be in and then start tracing the image. And you'll get what you get from that is it's a muscle memory sort of thing more than a pure observation thing. The pure observation thing is critical, but this is a good first step. And this is this has been a method of teaching for a very, very long time. You start getting this, okay, I understand the curve, the lip does that, and now it does that. And especially too when it starts getting a contour from this tracing, you really are kind of again refining, distilling the shapes this way. So it's definitely worth it for especially for a beginning. And you know what? Even in me just going over this right now, it's making me think of certain things that I know, but it reminds you. That's why we keep having to practice, and that's why professionals still do life drawing and all that kind of stuff. Again, especially life drawing is, I always like to say it's like working out for an athlete. That's what life drawing is. So, this is kind of doing a tracing thing, okay? Another method of doing a tracing thing, because sometimes what happens is you get this kind of going. I'm going to get the hair out of here real quick. I'm just going to do very, very quick. More hair, and this is the hair that's behind. And throw in some eyeballs here, or irises, I should say. And then by taking it off, you can see what's going on, and sometimes you see, oh, the mouth is obviously kind of screwed up. But because this was sitting underneath with enough structure, it's hard to see that stuff. So another way to deal with this kind of thing, if you're learning, and this is, I mean, again, grab any photo you want for, you're just practicing. If you're not going to base it off a painting that you're going to sell or a big comic book, grab whatever's out there. Even again, like I said before, you can capture frames from Netflix or whatever the thing like that is. But another valuable way to do the tracing is by having this image not be so solid. So a way of doing that is I'm just going to make another layer. Now you can do this with tracing paper again. You get put tracing paper right on top of it because the tracing paper will do this exact same thing that I'm doing digitally now. So I have a layer filled with white. I'm going to bring down the opacity of that layer, and that's like a sheet of tracing paper. So now when I have that image above, that's my tracing, I can see more clearly where the mouth is messed up. So I can more correctly, I can fix that now. Yeah. Can I just go across now? Wrong color. Yeah. And there you go. You get a sort of a basic thing. So now, the next step past tracing is you have her over there, and you have a blank sheet paper over here, or digitally or analog, and you're going to do that shape. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over some of the things that I think about when I attack this kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to take off, do another layer, I'm going to take off that one. So this is where really a lot of the learning comes into play, because this is where it becomes really observational. So as I look at the face, again, I want to try and do a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and give myself a brush that's got a little bit of a opacity to it, so I can sketch light and then sketch darker. So I'm going to take my inking brush and I'm going to go ahead and put some transfer on it. So pen pressure and pen pressure. This way now, almost like more of a pencil, I can go light with it and then harder. Okay. And I'm going to go, have a pretty decent size thing here. So, kind of like we were talking about before, I want to get sort of the general face shape. Now she's turned, a bit to the side. It's not a straight-on shot, so I'm trying to get the head sort of shape here. And the idea here is not really that I want to land the shape right away. I'm just kind of like, again, it's the drawing version of sculpting. It's just kind of, you're laying in approximately where things kind of are, and then you refine and you change and you adapt and all those kind of things, So, and she's got her nose. Her nose is tilted a bit up, so you can see the structure underneath, right? So I'm just going to kind of do the this shape here, over here, just generally, right? Going over here. Here, I'm going to do the top part. I often do a top part of the lip, and I'll just do it flat because I know I'm going to cut back into that for most people. So I just really want it there as like this is the top part of the lip in my head, And that's what you'll get. You'll get certain shortcuts as you start working with this stuff. The lips fold in, so this one comes underneath. Okay, I'm not worried about shadows yet. Shadows are really what will sell everything being realistic at the end of the day. I'm just more worried about structure. So, this is the nostril shape here. Comes down, comes back up, wraps on the other side. And you can see a little hint of the nostril on the other side. And this nostril comes up back up here. So this area is the bottom part of the nose. Okay. And then we got our eyes. So turn this way, come this way. Eyeball fits underneath, like we were talking about before. See how the lash comes up, goes out, the eyelid. And you can see even the eyelid above it. And it comes back, remember, as we talked about before, the shape of an eye, we got the muscles and we got the lid, so it wraps around top and bottom, and then the crease of the eyelid is above. So that's what we're getting right here, okay? And then across on the other side, the eye again. Nice curve. Probably not quite as much as a curve. What you'll notice is your head will definitely have its own ideas about how to complete these things, because that's how our brain is built, to see images and sort of, kind of fill in the what we don't see. We're like these pattern recognition guys. Okay. Now, as I'm looking at things here, I can see where, I've already gone wrong this, that, or the other place, okay? The nose is definitely off here. So again, don't be afraid of just going through and erasing the things. I'm not going to erase, I'm going to actually do it with white because then I have a better control. So the nose was off, right? So often when you're doing this sort of representational stuff where you're actually trying to, base something on a photograph, it's about the observation. So it's about looking back at this bit and seeing things that exist within the image that you can use as anchor points or reference points. Like you can say, oh, the width of that eyeball is about the same width as the bottom of that nose, so I know that's going to be about that size, So you can sit there and you could like go, okay, so right about, there is probably where it comes down. And you can see too, okay, so the edge of that nose, if I look at the edge of the eye here and see where it goes down at that angle, this is along that line is where that edge of that nose is going to be. Okay, and then on the other side, again, same sort of thing. A lot of times I'm referencing angles when I think about this stuff, right? So that's going to be the other edge of that nose, okay? And so the middle part of the nose is going to be right about here, nostril right about there. Again, she's got kind of a upturny nose. Other nostril, back over here. Okay. Now we don't need these big lines, because by doing these construction lines, we gave her the super wide nose, which is not what the bridge of her nose does not work that way. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of our construction lines here. And you could just do construction lines lighter, or you could even do them in another color if you wanted to, or in another layer if you're doing digital. So I'm going to go ahead and go back in here. Okay. Now you also notice too, as we look at this, that if that's where I want my nose to be, that nose is going to be a little bit far down for where it should be. The advantage of having digital, so I don't have to purely erase, I can just move that up. You can do the same sort of thing with analog. So move that up. Let's decide that we're going to go for a little indentation part of the lip. So this is on the top of the lip. So as we're looking, if we split the lip in the middle, that's where that indentation usually goes. Some people have it bigger than others, smaller than others. It always changes. And some people then have, bottom, this lip will come down a little bit more. Not always, sometimes the case. Okay. Looking at some eyebrows now. So I look at the eyebrow, again, I'm looking at this angle. So by my first start, I started too far over that way. So I'm going to switch to white and pull it back up and get to that angle that we were talking about. So right about like that is more correct as you look at the piece. Okay. And again, I'm not really, this is not, I'm not doing photoreal here, that's for sure. But I'm just kind of getting it there. So this comes in here. Now really what's going to define this image and really make this image more real, defining a little bit more of the nose. Oops, I have a little bit of a pressure problem going on here. There we go. She definitely has a unique nose, a nice kind of like bump going on there. But what really will define this is one is the edge. So I'm looking at the edge of the eye, and I'm looking about where the edge of the face should fall in proportion to what we're looking at over here. Okay, so really right about there. Then it comes out, then back in to being down about here. You can see even she has the frown line. If she was older, she would have, make another layer here so I can draw that. you would see that line going there. Okay, and we're going to go over ageifying the facing too, but it works with the structure where the muscles go in the face. So if I come back over here, I can use that reference line. I won't keep it, right? But so I kind of now know where this is all working. Okay, so in like that, a little back out, not too strong. But again, there's an essence too that's a little bit more, when you're doing this stuff, a little bit more stylized. So if you throw, I mean, there's, take a photo if you want to take a photo. If you want to write, breathe art and do some art and stuff, it's like you adding what makes you is critical to that situation and critical to your success, because people want to see that new take. They want to see what you see inside your head. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of these construction lines. Because at a certain point, they just kind of get back into your way. And again, you don't have to do pure contour drawing, though. That is a great exercise, and we'll do that too. I'll show you how to do that, and you can then practice on your own. So I'm just going to shade in her eyes a little bit here. Okay. Now really, again, for her, I'm going to go ahead and give us a little bit of that. She's got a hair coming up here. Hair, when you're doing hair, especially long hair, you want to try and do the nice, simple strokes. Again, you're looking at reference here, so I'm looking about how far this eye comes from where the hair comes in over here, where this turns like this. I can see a little bit of her ear back there, but I'm not going to really kind of get too far into it. I can already tell that I've made my eyes too big, but I'm going to live with that. It's important to know, with you yourself knows what's right and what's wrong. As the more you do this stuff, you'll realize that as well. Again, the structure of the eyes, that comes back out like this. But what's really going to make this image more, this is the way it is in reality, is because there is so much lighting in here. So I'm looking at the shadows here on her nose. Very, very interesting nose she's got going on here. I'm just going to kind of start throwing in some of that shading, just rough, I'm just roughing this stuff in. But you'll see when you throw the shadows in, see under the nose, so we have our little, this is the lips, going up to the nose. So it's basically a shape like this. So we'll catch light one way or the other because it goes in, okay? So it's getting hit. She's getting hit with light from this direction, okay? So that is depressed on this side, this comes out on this side, but then it goes back in, so that will get a shadow. Okay. She has a shadow coming from her nose, so I'm going to find that side, and then from her cheek coming back over here. And we're going to talk about cast shadows and core shadows a little bit later. Essentially, a cast shadow is a harder shadow coming, like a nose would cast that, a hand would cast that. But then as the form is turned, I'll show you. It's better if I show you. Yeah. And she has a little bit there. See, that's a critical little divot there, with the where it goes in. You get a kind of little, be either a smile or a frown, depending on where you stick that guy right there. A little bit more here. The forehead gets a little bit. Okay. Okay. And then the neck down here. And that's the head casting a shadow into the neck. Again, we got hair coming over here, hair over here, and we have even the other side of the head. We got some hair going on there. Okay, so this is like, this is your exercise. This is the tracing is one bit. This is the second bit. And if you're ready to go to this bit, do this bit. And if you can do this bit with real living people, it's even better. But if you can't, and some people are shy until they get better at art and stuff. They don't want to go draw in front of people if they think they kind of suck. Practice at home with the other methods I said. Grab a photo, grab something from a magazine, grab a you name it, right? I usually really kind of like the DVD thing is because then I can kind of take a little break, watch a little bit more of the movie, Lord of the Rings or whatever it is that you like, and then pause it on, oh, I love that scene, and pause it and be disciplined. Say like, okay, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes to do Gandalf. I'm going to do all this kind of stuff, right? So you see like how the eyes, the eyelid wraps around. So this is a skull shape thing, okay? And you can see it in here. It's not very pronounced, but it's there. And you can see it on the other side. Okay. So if we're looking at her and we're thinking about some of that structure stuff that we talked about before, the thing is, and the thing that I don't have going on here, because now that I look at these lines, see how this eye is obviously lower than it should be, because the basic structure of the head, I've got the way she's looking at us, we've got arcs. So they're arcs. And right now, this is pretty much a straight flat line, which is not how it should be. So, luckily, let me go ahead and get rid of some of this stuff. Luckily, I'm in the computer, and with the computer, you get wonderful tools. This is a tool that is great for you guys to fix your drawings once you see you have a little bit of problem. So this is the Liquify tool. So like I was saying, this eye is too low. So all I have to do is get a brush that kind of covers most of the eye, and I can shove it up. Sounds like a good song lyric, doesn't it? Shove it up. No, I don't know, whatever. And I can also bring in the head here that seems like it's a little bit off to me. But this is like a perfect tool for then fixing even more what you want. But you can see how the curve now is better there in the eye. So before, after, before, after. It's not a big difference, but it's enough to make a difference, if you know what I mean, okay?
Hi, this is Brian Haberlin. Thanks so much for watching. And please subscribe when you get a chance. Also, if you want to get more cool free stuff, my two sites are digitalarttutorials.com and traditionalarttutorials.com, where I have all kinds of cool events and free stuff for you to check out. Thanks.